A lot of people write off athletes that play in the G League in basketball, which is what it was referred to now. It was referred to as the D League earlier, the developmental league. Um, yeah, I mean, players that usually come out of the D League, as soon as they come to the league, they're just immediately written off, and they're like, okay, they'll probably be an all-star, but they won't be great. No, like, Pascal Siakam is pretty good. Like, I'm like not even exaggerating. I think that Pascal Siakam is definitely worth the hype. And considering his unorthodox path to the NBA, I have so much respect for him. And I do consider him elite for making it through that path and accomplishing what he's been able to accomplish. I mean, the Raptors are the number 2 team in the East, and to me, he's the only elite player on the Raptors. That should say enough. But if you don't know a lot about Pascal Siakam, I'll give you a little bit of background. So Pascal Siakam is a 26-year-old, I would say power forward, that plays for the Toronto Raptors, who currently wears number 43. He sets about 6'9", 230. I would say that he's a work in progress. He's a very raw talent that slowly but surely fills in his gaps and his holes every single season. Offensively, he's amazing. He'll post up. He can score. He score a lot of points. And this past year, you can see he's found a lot of different ways to score. And for the first time, he was voted to be an all-star starter after putting together a couple of amazing seasons for the Toronto Raptors. He's proven that once Kawhi Leonard left, like the Toronto Raptors were still a good team. And Pascal Siakam could most definitely take the way. In a sense, he was Pippen to Kawhi's Jordan, the one year that Kawhi was in Toronto. And Siakam was a part of a very historic season in Toronto. I mean, they beat the Warriors. But to go back, like I said, he would come out of Cameroon. He would make it to the States. He would eventually get recruited to go play at New Mexico State after playing high school ball at Texas. He would go on to play 2 years at New Mexico State. Freshman year, he would go on to be the freshman of the year of the WAC. His second year, he would go on to average 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks to be named the WAC Player of the Year. And following his sophomore year, he was named the WAC Player of the Year when New Mexico State went to the tournament and lost. Pascal Siakam was then taken with the 27th overall pick of the 2016 NBA draft by the Toronto Raptors. And that's kind of where his career started. In terms of Pascal Siakam, his age 22 season, he started in the NBA. He started 38 out of 55 total games played for the Raptors on the NBA level. He would only average 15 minutes where he'd score like 4 points, 3 rebounds, zero point 0.8 blocks per game, shooting 50% from the field, 14% from three, 69% from the free throw line. He would eventually get relegated to the D League for the second half of the season as he was eventually replaced in the starting lineup. He would go down and he would help the Raptors 905 finish. They would win the finals, and that year after averaging 20, he averaged like 23 points and maybe like 8-9 rebounds that season to finish out the year. He was named the finals MVP as he finished out that season. Pascal Siakam is a D League Finals MVP. Like that's actually that is something that has happened in his career. Happened in 2017. And then from that he would be promoted and he wouldn't miss a game in the NBA. His age 23 season in 2018, the Raptors would finish with the best record in the East, with Dwayne Casey winning Coach of the Year. In the 81 games he played for the Raptors this year, he averaged 21 minutes, scoring 7 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists, almost a steal and half a block a game, shooting 51% from the field, 22% from three. He would go on to make 62% of his field goals. Yeah, and the Raptors that year. As a bench player, he would help the Raptors finish with the best record in the East. In LeBron's last year, they would go on to beat the Wizards in 6 in the first round, and they would go on to get swept by the Cavs in the second round. And LeBron, after hitting that runner off the glass, LeBron was that dude. At that point, he wasn't incredibly recognized, but up until that point, Pascal Siakam, before Kawhi had joined the team, he was growing into being a starting player. He would go on to start the next season, but by that point, he had established himself as one of the better players of a Toronto Raptors team that made it deep into the playoffs. And they finished with the best record, or they finished with the best record in the East for the only time in their career, for the only time in their history as a franchise. And up to date, they have not won more games in a regular season than the 2017-2018 season. But following that, they would eventually trade DeMar DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl for Kawhi Leonard, and that would immediately turn this team that was already the best team in the East before we got there. It turned them into, title contenders and a team that would actually win the East, and we'll see if they can face off against the Warriors. In 2018-19, Pascal Siakam was named the NBA's most improved player as he went on to start 79 of the 80 games he would play for the Toronto Raptors, averaging 32 minutes, the most minutes he's ever averaged. He would go on to average 17 points a game, way more than the 7, his career high. He'd average 6.9 rebounds per game, most he's ever averaged in a season, 3.1 assists, 0.9 steals, 0.7 blocks. He'd shoot 55% from the field, 37% from three. He'd shoot 79% from the free throw line. And of course, that season, the Toronto Raptors would go on with Kawhi Leonard. They beat the Magic in the first round. They beat them in 5 after finishing with the second best record in the East. They went on to beat the 76ers in 7 after Kawhi Leonard hit that jump shot. They went on to beat the Bucks in 6. And with Pascal Siakam's help, they went on to beat the Warriors in 6. Kawhi Leonard was named the Finals MVP, immediately became the greatest Raptor of all time in one season, and left. But Pascal Siakam was the most improved player, and he was starting to go on everyone's radar. He wasn't elite yet. This season, I think, is when he solidified himself as elite. Moving into the 2019-2020 season, Pascal Siakam's age 25 season. Let's not forget, this was a guy that got moved down to the D-League in his rookie year. He would go on to start all 53 games for the start 53 games in a season with the Toronto Raptors, finish with right now they have a 46-18 record with the season kind of on hold as they're currently second in the entire Eastern Conference. With Kawhi gone, they have a 3-game lead over the third place Boston Celtics. They're 6.5 games behind the Bucks, so it looks like they're going to be comfortably placed with the second seed there. Pascal Siakam would be named an All-Star for the first time in his career, averaging 36 minutes a game, the most he'd average. 23.6 points per game, first time he'd ever averaged 20 points per game. He averaged 7.5 rebounds, his most rebounds to date. 3.6 assists, his most assists to date. He'd average a steal per game for the first time in his career, 0.9 blocks, shooting 46% from the field on 18.9 field goal attempts, way more than he did the previous season, which was 11.8. He averaged 18.9 attempts. He shot 36% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. He would go on to shoot. And right now, he's still currently shooting 80% from the free throw line and 5.2 free throw attempts per game. And that's where he sits right now. Right now, he's 25, 26 years old after turning 26 in April. Right now, the Toronto Raptors are in pretty good playoff position. I don't think they're going to win. But the fact that Pascal Siakam still has him in the second place spot, despite Kyle Lowry was another all-star on that team, but to me, Pascal Siakam was the only elite player on that team, which should show how much his presence, along with the system that he's in, because it's a well-coached team and it's very deep. But I think that Pascal Siakam right now should be considered an elite NBA player because the first time he was selected to be an all-star, he was an all-star starter. Not that many people could be all-star starters in their career. But with that, I like the situation that he's currently in Toronto. I kind of like his I like his teammates around him, but because they're going to be in the playoffs, they're not going to be able to draft out of the lottery, so they're going to have to hope to build through trades and signing free agents. But no, Pascal Siakam already has a championship, so he has nothing left to prove, and I think he's on his way to still becoming a much better basketball player with every season. So with that, I think I've said my piece on Pascal Siakam. Thanks for listening to me and hearing me out on this kid. He's only earned 1 All-Star, and he's won a championship. But this kid's the real deal. And he's one of the players that I'll be watching when his team makes the playoffs this season. With that said, I've said my piece. I appreciate you for hearing me out. Peace out, and I hope all is well.